Yeah. Hello, everyone. Let's come together for day four. Day four. It's been an amazing time. Let's come together. Okay. Let's come together. It's going to be an amazing time tonight. We've been having an exceptional time since Monday night. On Monday night, we had my very good friend all the way from Uyo, Reverend Ntiantia from Full Life. It was an amazing, fiery session to kick off this week. On Tuesday night, we had Pastor Daniel Olawande, one of the young men that God is raising in our generation and in our time. And yesterday night, we had the legendary Dr. Panam Percy Paul. We had a lot of glitches yesterday because of network, and we could not have a good session. So I've spoken to Dr. Panam yesterday, and next week, Tuesday. So let's note it, next week, Tuesday, we have Dr. Panam Percy Paul, so that we can have enough time to. So yesterday, I've gotten some calls from two people today that they did not see the recording of yesterday. We did not upload that because it was just on and off and on and off. So we didn't do that yesterday. But tonight, we have all the way from the city of Port Harcourt, Reverend George Izunwa from Gateway will be blessing us tonight as we learn from his life and learn from all that God has done in him, through him, and for him in ministry. So let's prepare. I'm going to be bringing him on board in another 7 minutes, and I want you to get your notes ready. You see, one of the uniqueness of this man of God is the fact that I will define him as a package of power, package in simplicity. It comes across very simple but loaded. So by the time it begins to, it's like it will just be unveiling, and you begin to see wisdom, you see grace, and you see power oozing. And I want you to know that tonight you are going to be blessed. Like I've said over and over again, we keep hearing it, that the secret of great men is in their stories, but nobody is telling us the story. We keep hearing it, that behind every glory there is a story, but nobody is telling us the story. And that's the reason for this series, so that we can learn from the stories of men. Because you need to understand that success leaves clues. Many times you're going through things, God is taking you through a process and through a journey, and sometimes you are wondering, why am I going through what I'm going through? Why is God taking me through this route? But when you listen to the story of other people, you are able to see, and then you begin to get clarity, the lines, and begin to connect, the dots are connected, because life is lived forward, but understood backwards. And that's why we learn from the stories of others. Some things are better caught than taught, and some things are taught so that we can learn. The Bible says that we should be followers of those who through faith and patience have inherited the promises. So we need to learn from the journey of faith of those that have gone ahead of us and from their journey of patience also. And I believe that tonight will be an exceptional night. So it's 8 p.m. My name is Olumide Emmanuel. I'm going to be your host in the next 1 hour or a little more. And my guest and my companion tonight will be my brother all the way from the city of Port Harcourt, Reverend George Izunwa of Gateway. And I believe very strongly that it's going to be an awesome time. Now, listen, on Thursday, the 31st of this month of October, and Friday, the 1st of November, I'm going to be hosting a global pastors and leaders conference. A global pastors and leaders conference. I'm going to be hosting this conference on Thursday, the 31st of this month, and Friday, the 1st of November. Now listen, this conference will be taking place at the Grand Ballroom of the Marriott Hotel in GRA, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. And this conference is in commemoration of my 35 years in full-time ministry. In the last 37, 38 years, I've been a part of the kingdom. And in the last 35 years, I've been full-time in ministry, carrying out the assignment of God upon my life by His grace. And in commemoration of 35 years in full-time ministry, I'm hosting this event so that it can be a transformational session and an opportunity for us to be a blessing to those that will be a part of it. So wherever you are all over the world, you have an opportunity to register and be a part of this awesome conference. You can register and join us virtually. So wherever you are on the globe, you can register for the virtual session, and we will send you a link that you will use to join us. It's not social media. It's a close meeting. So when you register, you get a link that will bring you into this anointed transformational meeting. Then you can register to be physically present for the 2 days. The morning session is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The evening session is from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for both days. There'll be refreshments. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to get as you register. You can also register for the residential portion, so you can be fully resident and stay with us in the hotel. If the hotel is too expensive for you to be able to join us, then we have a lot of other hotels in the environment. We have shortlets and service apartments in the environment. And once you call any of the numbers on the screen, my office will be able to help sort that out. And please listen and listen well. I've released a brand new book. It's called Ministers, Mistakes and Ministry. Ministers, Mistakes and Ministry. It's over 620 pages. This is a book that I believe will be a blessing to the body of Christ, especially to ministers and those that want to go into ministry. I have documented a lot of things in this book. In the first chapter, I shared on what I consider to be the secrets of my own journey. In the second chapter, I shared on things I will do differently. If I'm to start all over again, what will I do differently? What are the mistakes that I've made? The third chapter talks about everyone in the kingdom is a minister, so that we can understand that we are all called into ministry. Ministry is serving your generation with your gift, talent, and potential. In chapter 4, I spoke about when your mistake mocks your miracle. And in chapter 5, I listed out 111 mistakes that I have seen ministers make. When I started out 35, 36 years ago, I know a lot of people that were front line. And today, one mistake or the other have taken them off the track. Amazing, amazing book. In chapter 6, we looked into the battles and the tests that pastors and ministers face in ministry. By the time we get to chapter 7, I speak about the power of an unbroken focus. How to stay focused in ministry, because being in ministry for 35 years, I've seen a lot of people lose focus. I've seen a lot of people distracted from their original calling, and they lose relevance, because you only remain relevant as you remain valuable and you stay the course. And then we move on. It's 12 chapters of amazing content. Everyone that registers will get a copy of this. So if you register, you're getting a copy of the book. So take advantage of it and you will be glad you did. Let me bring in my brother. Get ready, get your note ready, and let I believe that there is a gateway that is being opened to us, a portal in the spirit that will unleash wisdom from on high. So, hey,
Man
brother,
of God. Oh, it's such an honor being with you
my
tonight.
brother, the Lord for the sacrifice. So because I know everybody is busy, that's why I like to fight this long time to make sure.
Oh, thank you.
So are you in town? Because are you in Port or you are in Manchester?
I had a meeting, a beautiful time in Angola over the weekend.
Wow,
Came back on Monday and then went to Warri for Impact Warri conference. So
wow,
I finished on Wednesday. I got back to Port Harcourt.
wow, wow.
Well done, sir. It's been a beautiful, beautiful week. And I believe God that tonight we're going to have a beautiful time.
Amen. Oh, yes, so we are ready. We are ready. We want to hear the story. Remember, someone was asking me, I don't know when. He said, "Ah, that when did you know Reverend George?" I said, it has stayed. Hey, because hey, that hey, I remember I was supposed to come for the days of wisdom for single. I think it was the early 2000
Yeah,
in those days, but I
yeah,
couldn't. I
yeah.
said that time that the thing invited me in the
Yeah,
2001
yeah.
many years ago that
2001.
I say I've only moved for a long. They say, hey, so you're now we want to, like I've said in the introduction, many times um they say the secret of great men is stories. Behind every glory, there is a story. But most of the time, we don't hear the story. Nobody is telling us the story. So, what this is all about, the secret of the journey, learning from the stories of people, just like a life, like a biography or autobiography, just learning to say, okay, how far? What are the things that has helped us thus far? So, I normally want to start with the salvation experience and the call. So, how did you come to becoming born again? Because I have people now that will say they were born again from their mother's womb. Then you, how are you able to come to the place where you knew this is what you should? Why are you not in the bank? Why are you not in oil company? Why are you not in business? Why are you? How do you know that God, this is what I should be doing? Because there are a lot of people that are out there. They are not born again, and some, but they will tell you, "I'm not a pastor. Oh, God didn't come. No, I just want to." They don't even know the call of God. And so, how were you able to crack those two codes?
Thank you, man of God. Well, let me start with the salvation experience. Uh, Actually, I was privileged to have a very beautiful, beautiful stepmother. And when I was young, my stepmother was totally sold out to Jesus. Now, uh, it's funny because she was the first wife of my father. And in many marriages where there's more than one wife, you have a lot of acrimony and a lot of terrible things going on. But this woman got born again. Uh, she used to be a school teacher, so she was educated. And so when she got born again, she started relating with Kenneth Hagin and started relating with Oral Roberts. And at the end of the day, she became like a representative for Hagin in the in our part of in our state. And at that time, she actually was collecting his materials. They would send him every book they print, they send so many of them. And she set up a library where people would come in and sit down there. She won't allow you borrow the book, but if you want to read, you come in there and sit down and read. And so that's what my stepmom was doing. And until, well, years later, my dad shut it down because he felt she was getting too religious. But that's another story altogether. But that's what she was doing. And now her passion for God and her love for us. I mean, nobody that knew me when I was a kid knew I wasn't his son, her son. She was passionate for us. She cared so much, and she made sure that we went to church. Now, for me, her church was Assemblies of God at the time, and I went to Assemblies of God, and then I got to hear so much about God. But then I didn't so much of, yes, I know in the church, I mean, in children's church, they will make altar call, they ask you to give your life to Jesus. You'll come out this time, and then another day you come out again, another day you come out again. So you can say you got born again at that time, but of course, I didn't take a record of that until I got into secondary school. And then in my year one, that's when I consciously now made a decision to be a child of God. And all through my secondary school, I stayed on that decision. And because of her ability to force us to read those books, and by the time I was finishing secondary school and all that, almost all the books on Kennehagen, I've already read them. And uh, many of the books of, Oral Roberts, I've already read them because my dad at that time also will insist I read. But it doesn't matter what book, just have a book in your hand. So I will pick them and I'll read and all that. So today, many times people ask me, why are you not scared? Many times when I do programs to ask people to ask questions, and I don't bother about theological issues and all of that, is because I actually, from childhood, have been reading materials of these men of God. And I got schooled in faith even as a kid. So believing for something and trusting God for that, and then uh, living a lifestyle of faith became very easy. In fact, it just became like a personal culture. I didn't have to struggle with that because it has become part of my system growing up, both from the house and from the books I read. Now, when I got into the university, uh, it was beautiful. I actually, because at that time, I've started serving in church. When I left Assemblies of God and I joined Deeper Life, that's another story. I don't want to, unless it comes up later, I don't want to get much into that. But so, so when I joined Deeper Life, I actually got to serving in church and became a leader in church as a kid. And you won't believe that by the time I was 16, already Deeper Life was sending me to a location like a pastor of the location. So I wasn't, I was just ministering. I wasn't like of course, there's no ordination in Deeper Life, they just posted and all that. As at that time, I don't know if they've changed right now. So I'll go there, they have their outline, I'll take the Bible study in that station and come back. And I did that even before I entered university. So from 15 and all that, I was ready going to teach Bible study. Why? Because of the background my stepmother gave to me. So when I put my mouth and I'm talking, it's very easy because you have the word, you have the knowledge, you have a background of faith. So it was just normal for me to flow with that. Now, in the university, as I came in, I made up my mind. And this is something very strange, but that was my decision. I got into university. Year one, I had so many teachers talking about uh, uh, Christianity not being credible. I had that so much in year one, and some people tried to use science to, bring up all kinds of nonsense and all that about the faith. And initially, as I got into school, it hit me because when you have been kind of kept away from things like that, you have not had your faith questioned before. You have not had anybody push back on you. You actually grew up in a bubble. You are looking at life from one perspective, and then you walk in here and people are challenging what you believe with all kinds of things. Now, I didn't backslide. I didn't go out to the world. But I said to myself, I'm not going to go serving in church anymore. Maybe I made a decision to be a Christian too early. I need to settle down and ask myself whether this decision is something that not just uh, uh, not just something I received from my background and from how I was led, but something that makes sense for me and something that I can build my life foundation on it. I've received this message. Every book I've read affirmed it. Let me read other things. So I stopped being a worker. I stopped serving in church. I will go to church every Sunday. But I joined different organizations that were a bit Marxist based.
Wow.
Intentionally. In school, everyone that knows me knows that every Marxist club in school, in my year two, I was a member. So, and I would sit down, I'll hear them talk about all kinds of things, and I was learning, I was questioning myself, and then I was reading. That's the time I read the books, Evidence That Demands a Verdict 1, Evidence That Demands a Verdict 2, More Than a Carpenter. All of those books, I read them to counter my what I was being taught from this other area. It was an interesting thing, and I did it for a year plus. By my third year, I've already made up my mind I was going to serve. I made up my mind that my faith made sense. Everything I needed to read, I was reading them. So, you see, it's not just about Christianity. I read so much about Islam. I actually I actually tried to go through the Quran. I read uh, even things by Hitler, everything that was out there, I was reading them. So it's very funny today that when people try to talk to me, and all that, and I quote this and I quote this and I go here and I go here. It looks like it shocks them, but they don't know the background from where I took that decision. So now, when people talk to me about my faith, it's impossible to throw me off because the foundation was led not by miracles, not by church leadership, not by anything, but by a personal search. I read and read and read, and I made a decision. So I kept on serving. And then I joined the prayer team in the campus. I began to minister to other students in the campus. Then one day, I just finished praying in the botanical garden. I was in my year three, going to year four, toward the end of our year three. And I'm coming down from the place. And I'm walking toward my hostel. Then at Amino Kano Hall in Uniport, there was this melina tree in front of that place. As I got by that melina tree, I just had a strange visitation. And it was a supernatural visitation right there. And I mean, I was, you know, it's like, how do I describe it? It's like you bouncing into somebody. I mean, how do I put it? Okay, let's say you're walking right now, and then you didn't know somebody was standing somewhere, and then you just, or he's coming from one corner, and then both of you jammed. But this is not a physical person. This is a spiritual person. That was my encounter with the Lord. That was on that spot that day that I was informed I was going to be in ministry. Now, that's how I knew I was called. Now, I didn't get into ministry immediately. I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly speaking, I had no plan of being a pastor. The only thing I ever wanted to do in life was be a researcher.
Mm.
I was hoping that I'll be as intelligent enough to ever discover something on this earth that will carry my name. That was the only thing as a kid that was in my brain. Anything else wasn't really I mean, all I wanted was, is there anything on this earth that can carry my name that I discovered this? No, that was all that was there. But then that day I knew I was going to be a preacher. So I left it at that. I finished in the campus, got into the youth service, decided to serve in church. So I got to Benin and served in a church. In fact, they posted me to a place I refused and asked them to post me to church. They refused and posted me to Ibinedion's place and all that. And I got there, asked them to reject me. They said no. So I stayed there, but was serving in the church and all that. And when I finished, I got back into Port Harcourt. When I came into Port Harcourt, all of that, when I was serving in the church, my whole aim was simply, let me give God one whole year of full-time service. And after that, he will release me to go do other things. And then I will be able to move on with my life, and I will serve, I will do other things, and then help in the ministry and minister, pastor, whatever he wants me to do, but on a part-time basis. I never thought I'll be a full-time pastor. Well, I came to Port Harcourt. Immediately I left Benin, got admission to what is called University of Science and Technology at that time. It's now called River State University. It used to be UST, but now it's RSU. So I got admission there to do a master's in environmental chemistry. So I came into Port Harcourt. When I got into Port Harcourt, I met a pastor. I've known him in my former church. He's now a bishop, Bishop Yomishi Jola. And I went to his office to greet him. And when I came to greet him, he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, sir, I came here to do my postgraduate." And he welcomed me very well. And he started talking to me excitedly about the new ministry that he started called Logos Ministries. And I was talking to me about spiritual warfare. And all my life, I've never had the term spiritual warfare before. So I was asking myself, are they going to carry gun in church? What are they going to do? And all that. So I said to him, I will come to the meeting and I'm going to see what you guys do. And then I will go back. I just want to experience the program you are talking about. I got to the program. I was blown away by the atmosphere, the worship, the word, and all that. And I decided to stay. So I stayed with him. And then I was still a student when he appointed me as one of his assistants. And we carried on that. Then something happened. Uh, some I'm trying to remember the exact date now, but One day I was in the house. I was living with a friend. He's still alive. He's also a pastor. His name is Pastor Morty. And I was living with him. He had the house. I was courting with him and going to school. And that night, I just had a very funny experience. He wasn't around. I was lying down in the parlor, not in the night, in the evening, lying down in the parlor before he came back home. And I suddenly I went into a trance. And many times, God, I have those flashes and trances and those kind of things. So I've gotten used to experiences like that. So, and I went into a trance, and then I saw myself standing, and it was like with a wife and children. I looked around, about three of them or so, and I never took it as anything. And I was like, I'm not married. I'm looking at myself, wondering what's going on, and all that. And then I, it was as if that same personality that met me in the campus was around again. And he was just talking to me about how I'm going to be used in the ministry and things like that, and just talking. And I saw a few things about. I saw the globe. I saw a few different kind of nationalities that I was going to speak to, and things like that. It was just intriguing and exciting, but at the same time, of course, I knew that that was like a reaffirmation of what happened in the campus. I got up. Now, when I had that revelation, it told me, go and see your pastor. Don't forget, I'm still a student. I am serving under the pastor, and my plan was not to be a full-time ministry. I just was content. And he said, go see your pastor. I woke up that morning. I shared a little bit of that with the person I was living with, Okudili. We just discussed about that. He's a man of prayer till today. And we prayed, and I let it be. And then there was a member of our church at that time that was having a dedication that very day. So I left. Not that the very day, that week. My intention was not to go see my pastor immediately. I know I've been told to go see a pastor, but I wasn't thinking of starting into full-time ministry immediately. I just wanted to see him, tell him what I saw, and hear his side of the story, or what he's going to counsel me. So I left and went for that dedication. When I got to the dedication place, we finished all the ceremony. I was coming out of the place, just trekking down to the road to go and catch a bus, a taxi. And I saw that somebody came and stopped me, a man. I don't know the man. I've never met him before. He just stopped me. I said, your man, stop. I stopped. And he stood there and narrated for me everything I had in the revelation that beginning of the week.
Wow.
Right on the road. He's talking to me. I kept a straight face. He's saying, do you understand? Do you understand? And all of that. He's trying to explain the meaning of that and talking to me. He mentioned this and mentioned this. I'm standing by the road there. And I'm just looking at him. By the time he finished, he said, do you understand? He said, I kept quiet. He said, now walk across the road and go right to your pastor and tell him that you're coming into full-time ministry. I kept quiet. So as I turned to start walking, I turned back. Man of God, I've not seen him till today, and I've never known him till
Angel
today.
of God. Angel of God.
That was it. So I crossed the road and went right to Bishop Yomi's house. I went to his house. He wasn't in the office. I went right to his house. He had an office in his house where he normally stays to study and all that. As I came, they told him I was around. He said I should come in. As I walked into the study, I said, please, sir. I didn't tell him all the background information about what I saw and all that. I just said, sir, I just came to tell you I want to be, I believe God wants me to be full-time minister. I just came to see you. He just looked up and smiled. Said, I'm just waiting for you. I just sat down here now to wait for you. I know you were coming. And we started discussing. That's how I got into full-time ministry. And from there, the journey went on for a few years. And then Gateway started very funny. It was, you see, as a person, maybe I'm a bit laid back. I'm not that pushful with so many things and all that. So when I'm serving, I'm serving. I just donate myself to it, and it's not about your face out there, people knowing you and all that. I don't have that kind of a struggle. I'm just ready to serve. Being in the background is not a problem. I know that I'm a quality person and I don't bother my head about that because I know the cream will always rise to the top. It's always been in my mind. Just give your best and you see God turn things for you. So I carried that mentality from when I was a kid, and that's how my father trained me. So I kept working on that. Now, when I said serving, there was nothing like, okay, try to push yourself to the top. I just serve, give my best, and everybody around could know that this person is passionate about what he's doing. You can't walk around me without knowing this is a guy on fire. I always did that. And if you walk into my office at that time, the only picture in my office was a frame written, "Let no man despise your youth, but be an example of the believers." That's the only frame in my office. And I made it my motto. You can't hang around me and see me playing the games of young people. I don't have the time for that. I just focused on my assignment. I was serving him. One day he asked me to prepare and preach in church. And I took a few days off. Went to a brother's house. This brother he used to be the Africa manager of a company they called A Liquid.
Mm.
His name is Brother Falabi. Falabi was very close to me. So I went to his house, and because I needed a space to pray, I got there. I finished worshiping. I wanted to do a fasting for almost the whole week. And so by the third day, I just went into a trance, and I heard the Lord telling me again on things to do and what to begin, how to step out and start a ministry. Quite frankly, I was torn because I wasn't ready.
You can't
But
preach Holy
to
Spirit.
cut a long story short, the day of the program, I couldn't preach. I mounted the pulpit, I picked the microphone, I froze. My pastor had to send somebody to come and remove me from the pulpit because the thinking of starting a walk overwhelmed me. So later he asked me, what happened? He thought I was under spiritual attack. So I explained to him I was thinking about a revelation I had. And so we talked about it. He gave me 3 weeks to go and pray. I stepped out and spent the 3 weeks in Lagos with a friend, Ayu Aremu, in Lagos. I spent the 3 weeks in his house, spent the time praying, got a confirmation, came back, told my pastor, and then that's how my journey started. So in a nutshell, that's the story.
Wow, wow, wow. Awesome. Um, many times, we are living in a time season when a lot of people don't have of the reality of God. So when you say things God spoke, I met God, people are thinking because we have become so secularized,
Yeah.
don't understand. They doubt this, they will believe magic, but they will believe the negative, but without the positive. And that is why reality like this are very, very important for people to know that God still rules and reigns in the affairs of men. God still speaks to people, and one of
Yeah.
our assets as God's children is the ability to hear Him
Yeah.
and be led. That is amazing. If you are just joining us, my name is Olumide Emmanuel, and with me tonight, all Gateway in Port Harcourt is Reverend George Izunwa, and I'm telling you, we've been experiencing some amazing fruits through the journey of his life. Thursday, the 31st of this month, and Friday, the 1st of November, I'm going to be hosting a global pastors and leaders conference in commemoration of my 35 years in full-time ministry. You can register to join us. The phone number on the screen, and there you can virtually from anywhere in the world. You can also join us physically or be a residential delegate. And for everyone that registers, my brand new book, Ministers, Mistakes, and Ministry, over 600 pages, unveiling common mistakes that pastors and ministers make in life and ministry, will be given to everyone that registers. So don't miss for anything. Man of God, you have been consistent. Now like 23 years. You consistent. The ministry has gone through different things, and God has raised you to be a major voice in this generation. There are a lot of other pastors, a lot of people that just see the glory. They say, I want to have a big church. I want to have this. They don't know all the journeys and sacrifices and all the twists and turns that brings us here. So, can you just share with us what are the few things that you can consider to say these are the secrets of the journey? These are the things that God has used to help me thus far that we can.
Well, let me start. Like when I started initially, I told you about the background that God gave to me. That was a beautiful thing, and it kind of helped to frame my life and helped to give me early insight into the move of God and issues of faith and all that. And so I grew in that. Now, when I left Assemblies of God, actually, when I tell people how I joined Deeper Life, it's very funny. I was going to church on a Sunday, and the pastor said, anybody that comes to church late, they're going to give him back seat.
Wow.
That's Assemblies of God. In those days, they used to be very disciplined. And I was coming from school, and I was a kid. I was coming from boarding house. Now, my school is a Catholic school, full Catholic school. And in the whole school, I don't think there are up to 5 persons that go to church other than Catholic that are in that boarding house at that time. I know a few Anglicans, but mostly Catholic that are in the boarding house there. And I was the only one in the boarding house I know that goes to a Pentecostal church. So that, and the way we go is this. A few of the Anglican people, they allow them go to Anglican church. Those of us that are not Catholic, that are Pentecostals, you don't even show your face at that time because, there was Pentecostal was not considered anything at that time. And so they first take us to Catholic church. We'll go there for Mass. And for me, all I used to do at that time is we get to church and then we stay for the Mass. While the Mass is going on, when the teachers and other students start pursuing women, it gives you a chance to sneak away. They won't notice. So they came with us. They don't know when we step away. The boys go to look for girls from secondary school. The teachers go to look for their girlfriends. And then I just sneak off and go to Assemblies of God, hear the message, and then try to get back to hostel on time. That had been my pattern Sunday by Sunday, unless the day they stopped me. Then that Sunday, we got to Catholic church. And normally, because I have to get to church and stay for some sessions in the Mass before leaving, I can't be in Assemblies of God early. I only go to hear the message. But the pastor is not aware. So I left the Catholic church. I said, going to the Assemblies of God. And then I remember the pastor said, if you come late this Sunday, I'm going to give you back seat. And I didn't want to be embarrassed. So I got close to the church. I stood outside. I started contemplating. Do I enter and explain? This man is so hard, he won't hear me. And the pastor at that time was so stubborn, he won't hear me. He won't hear me. And sometimes I behave like him today anyway. He's not of So I stood outside and thought about it. I said, no, I don't want to get in here and be embarrassed. Let me just go let me just go home. As I was going back to the Catholic Church, I had some people singing, and I didn't know the name of the church, but they were singing, and the songs were very, very deeply spiritual. Let me put it that way. And so I came close, and I really saw the passion in the house. So I entered and I sat down. Service is over. They asked my details. I filled up their card. That's when I found out it was Deeper Life Church. And of course, then Deeper Life was not so big.
And I go follow you at the end of the world.
That same evening,
Yeah.
the pastor came to my school. The Assemblies of God I've been going to all my life. The man has never known where I was. That's what today, when I say to the church, I pastor and say to young churches, it's very important. The pastor came that day. Within the week, they kept, now this is a boarding house. They will come, they'll fill a form, they'll come like that, bringing you a gift, ask to see you, come out, and then they tell you, we care about you, this and that, and give you one tract or one material, and they walk away. I felt that was love. I felt that was being cared for. That's how I became a member of Deeper Life. And Deeper Life helped to give me a strong foundation because their teaching was a lot on character. It was something that you while you are there, you just have the sense that wrong is wrong, sin is sin. There's heaven, you have this sense that we are accountable to God. They inculcate it into you, and it's a very good foundation. There are some extremes, I understand. There are some areas where today I won't accept, but I'll tell you, it was a foundation that I value till today. So my stepmother's training, Deeper Life training, then the experiences of being mentored by different persons. My former pastor's mentoring, the mentoring I received under Winners Chapel when I started coming in submission to Baba Oyedepo, and then with Dr. Paul. All of that added a lot of things to my life, and it helps to put guardrails around your life. That no matter the excesses of your life, you know that you are accountable to some people, and then it helps you to stay. So that's on that. So those are some of the things that help me. Now, when it comes to the ministry proper, I believe that one of the things that helped me is the understanding that ministry is a marathon, not a sprint. And from day one, my former pastor made that clear to us, and it was something that was easy for me to follow. When you are running a marathon, you know it's a stamina journey. You prepare well for it. You make sure that you are physically fit. You make sure you know they are going to be in it for a long time. A lot of people do ministry as if it's a sprint. They're just competing and all that. But I learned, get there, bend your head down, settle, develop your pattern, build your culture. I mean, create your leadership. Have a pattern you run with, and just keep going and keep going and keep going. That's what I have been doing for a long time, and God has used it to take me to where I am.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. 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 I want to I know you have a lot of branches. You've got branches, you have branch pass. I want to speak, to that area. I just feel going to that area. Um a lot of branch pastors um don't know how to put it. When they are with you at the headquarters, they are a different set of people.
Yeah.
But it's out to now go and face the ministry of their
Yeah.
own. You now see, it's as if but I thought you have a calling now. Why are you finding it difficult to be able to break ground and do? I was speaking to a branch pastor of one of a few years back. So I asked him, I said, "Come, why is it that you branch pastors, we that sent you out, I said, nobody sent us, God sent us. We labored, we broke ground. Why is it that when we send you people out, you are now looking up to the headquarters? Are you not supposed to be looking up to heaven? You are looking up to headquarters. Headquarters are we going to look up to? That you guys now make us to begin to feel as if sending you out was wrong, as if we didn't." And the guy said something. He said, "Sir, for many of us, that you guys have more faith in us than we have in ourselves.
Mm.
And that it takes a while for us to be able to now take ownership to say, this is me, this is my calling and all." So I just want you to speak to branch pastors. I don't know why I went into that, but I just feel that we speak to branch pastors to this issue of branching, because many times people that don't understand the thing that can preach, they don't know that preach is the simplest part of the work for a pastor. They think that just because they can preach, they can run a church, and then by the time they get out there, they realize that it's not. I know of people that were in other people's ministry.
Yeah.
When they now go and start their own, they are not able to do anything substantial
Yeah.
because they now realize that you cannot build somebody else's foundation. So
Yeah.
please speak to.
You see, I was an assistant pastor. I pastored a location, and let me tell some of these things I share it with the pastors I mentor. Let me start with the attitude of an assistant pastor. When I was pastoring under Bishop Yomi, uh, they divided the church. We had three services. So he called the first one church one, called the second one church two, called the third one church three. He put me in charge of church two. And uh, my job was follow up and managing the cell units of that church to make sure that that church was growing. Now, you will think that you are there in church and all you do is simply do some office work, call people, follow them up and go. No, I had a routine. I had a decision to make. How do you want your life to be? And I keep telling myself, I believe that there's a call of my life, and I believe that I'm not going to be small. Like I said to you, I put that picture in my office. That's something. Don't let anyone despise your youth. It was my motto, it was my mantra. Now, in the church, what did I do? I created work for myself. All those house fellowship groups, I began to do my own miracle services in them. Each week, I choose one house fellowship and visit it. And I will tell them to gather their neighbors that I want to come and speak a blessing on them.